back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Midnight Shift podcast. I'm here today. I'm Justin.
I'm Jimmy.
We're here today again with Jacob.
Hi guys, how's it going?
You okay?
Yeah.
Good. It's nice to see you again. So last week we talked about serial killers, psychopaths, and murderers. Today we're going to talk, same vein, children's horror.
Wait, can I start off? What's your favorite goosebump? And this time when you answer, it's not going to be kind of awkward.
My favorite goosebump?
Yes, your favorite single goosebump.
My favorite single goosebump. If I have to go, probably the Haunted Mask.
Damn it.
It's either the Haunted Mask or A Day at Horrorland.
Oh,
now, I always liked A Day at Horrorland as a kid, but this last week I rewatched it and it's kind of shitty. The Haunted Mask is just good.
I like the Haunted Mask too as well. The sequel.
It's okay. I think it's not as good.
I agree.
I don't like that they recasted Carly Beth. I think it would have been better if she was the same girl.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Kind of a low budget show all around though.
Yeah. Did you know? Well, I'm not gonna be the only one that answers for what's my favorite. What's your favorite?
Well, you kind of said my two favorites, so it's real awkward now. So do I also say the Haunted Mask? Because that really is. Mine would be the Haunted Mask, 100%. That was always mine.
Well, the Haunted Mask was always the one we went to as kids.
Yeah.
But another one that we haven't brought up yet was I think it was called the Tower of Terror.
Night and Terror Tower.
Yeah, Night and Terror Tower.
I got it over here.
And over on the family video rack.
Oh yeah, right here.
That's nice. Yeah, that's always one I remember. It's got
Tower?
the executioner guy in it. I think it's been a long time since I've seen some Goosebumps, man.
Yeah, I just watched that actually this last week. So they're on Netflix, and it's kind of funny because
there's 5 seasons or something.
I don't know exactly. I don't remember.
There's more than we're thinking though. It's not just the Haunted and the ones you think of. There's a lot of weird ones, and some of them are just bad. I don't know. My opinion. Some of them are really good.
What's the one with the puppet?
Oh, Night of the Living Dummy.
And that's always a good one too.
That one's okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary. I don't know. It's not like
a low school Chucky.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of a movie me and Justin used to watch all the time. Dead Silence.
Yeah,
reminds me a lot of Billy the Puppet.
Yeah.
In that movie.
No, well, I think he's the unofficial mascot of Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Slappy.
Well, he had
his name.
There was 4 of the Night of the Living Dummies. I want to say it wasn't just one. There was 4, and that one's another good one. There is others. I keep thinking of. I like a lot of them, but it's just some of them where it is I like the Stay Out of the Basement.
Yeah, that one was good. Where he's a plant man or something.
He's a plant monster.
Plant monster, and he's slowly changing and. Wasn't his the real dad downstairs or something?
I think so. He was
he was holding him hostage or something.
Well, that's what was in the basement.
Yeah,
was the
Stay
real
out of the
dad.
basement.
Well, when there was a nest
real dad's
too
down there.
for the plants or whatever. I remember that. But no, I always liked that one a lot. And then you said the Horrorland, wasn't it? Welcome to Horrorland or something like that.
It's either A Day at Horrorland or One Day at Horrorland or something.
I always did like that one a lot too. Just it was, but they always ended on a weird note.
One Day at Horrorland, it's right there, right next to the other one. Yes.
So hold on. For anyone that doesn't understand why Justin keeps saying it's next to the other one, so where we live, we had a family video, and it closed, and he decided he was going to buy the movie racks from the family video.
Uh-huh.
Well, he also in his office that we're in, he built it's all covered in horror memorabilia. But he's also got these movie racks, and on these movie racks, he's got the family video vest.
Yeah. Full disclosure, he was wearing the family video vest while we did the serial killer. We asked him why he wasn't wearing the vest tonight, and his answer was, he is off. So maybe
he's not scheduled.
Time when he's not scheduled the family video.
It's pretty great. We're reviving the old Blockbuster videos.
I definitely am. They're in alphabetical order. Just wait. I'm telling you guys, there's more coming. You'll see.
Yeah, for sure.
I still have another stack of movies to bring you that maybe next week.
I still have 2 more of these racks outside that are twice this size. They're way too big to have in here.
Well, hopefully Justin gets around to making an Instagram or something. So
these
you
are
can
the featured
maybe
ones,
post
aren't
these pictures so you guys can see.
These racks were for the featured movies.
Oh, I don't know. They just had. They came in 4 foot and 6 foot, and I've got.
I just remember
ones
there
are
was
4 foot. I got the other ones outside.
Well, the 8-foot ones, you're saying, I think those were for the A to Z. And then these were more for the and they had to be more of the same movie. Because I remember they used to have, a bunch of, like, a popular movie.
Yeah. When they closed, I asked them, like, I was like, so, is there any perverts that came and bought out, like, all the porn? Because they were just giving out, like, I was in there, like, 3 days in a row, just going through, like, every movie and just, I was going with boxes of fucking movies.
I did that
and I was like,
at a movie gallery when they closed.
Yeah. That's how I got a whole bunch of these. I got them for, like, dollars. So I was just like, I'm getting every movie I want. Also, I like it that, like, it's not a brand new case. I like that it's, like they're, like, old and aged. It looks like an old school movie store. Some of them have it, like, a tag on it, like right here, where it says $4.99 each or buy two at $8. I don't know. Like, that to me is just kind of cool. And then when you, like, open it up, a lot of times it'll say...
That is way too much.
So it's got this, like...
The thing that's from...
Yeah, like, it's from the thing. This is interesting.
If you want, I have a Birdman that I just took forever, and then I went in there one day, like, hey, man, you never brought our Birdman back. And it was $20. So I had to give him $20, and it's literally... Like, I was like, can I get the regular cover? Like, no, you can keep our... It's, like, in their case, and I still have it. So maybe I'll bring that by. Sometimes you can put a Birdman up on the shelf.
Well, I just think that stuff's funny. Like, I've got all these... I've been buying these Nintendo 64 games, and a whole bunch of them have, like, a band on it that says, like, property of Blockbuster. It's like, probably not. I just bought it at a used game store, so...
But to get back on topic...
Yeah.
I feel like Goosebumps literally always end with, like, to be continued. Almost like you almost want more with each, like, when they end.
It's always a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, the staple of the books. It's always it's a cliffhanger or it's a twist.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I remember I think it was called, like, Welcome to Camp Nightmare or something. And, like, the whole time you're, like, watching this and you think, like, the camp is up to, like, something, something fucking weird. And I think the end of it was, like, it shows, like, all these people, like, die. Obviously, like, not on camera, but it shows them. And then at the end, everyone's alive. And then it shows that, like, this is some kind of a training place and that they're not on Earth. They, like, look up and you see, like, Earth in the sky. So they're on some, like, alien planet and they're going to, like, invade Earth. And that's, like, the big level, the like, twist. But they always got weird. Like, another one we watched a bunch as a kid was Welcome to Dead House.
I don't remember this.
You don't?
I do.
I mean, I might. Like, once you start explaining it, I might. But
so it's basically like a zombie kind of thing. These people, like, move into this house, and there's all these neighbors that seem, like, really friendly, but they're all, like, really pale and shit. The rest
of the whole neighborhood is, like...
Yeah.
Yes, okay, I do remember this now.
Yeah, and then they've got, like, this fucking wreath, and, like... The kids are like, you throw that thing away, that thing sucks. And the mom's like, no, I like it. And, like, she hangs it up. And then I remember, like, halfway through, like, all these, like, zombies are trying to, like, break in. And they're not, like, living dead, like, rotting zombies. Like, they talk and shit. But they're just more kind of like ghouls. And they're, like, trying to, like, break in. And the family's like, it's this wreath. That's what's drawing them here. And then they're like, burn it. And they burn it. And the zombies are like, that was the only thing keeping us out. And then...
Yeah, I remember it kind of. I mean, this is probably... I probably haven't seen that.
It's been a good time. It's been like
20 years.
All I think about, though, is it reminds me of the Haunted Mass, though, which had the statue of Carly Beth or whatever.
Yeah.
So that way, that was almost like, because it was a symbol of love, and it was the only thing they could use to, like, get her off or whatever.
Right.
That always terrified me, though. 100%. Because I love wearing masks. You knew this before the haunt. I used to wear... I love Michael Myers, and I had a Michael Myers, a Freddy Krueger, whatever mask. I used to love masks. The idea of putting a mask on and then that just becoming your flesh, that is... and, like, she got, like, the teeth and everything. That was terrifying to me.
Right. Yeah, I think...
wish I could put the Batman mask on.
I always, like... I wanted to, like, work in the store. That, like... Or I wanted a store like that to open up. Like, around
like
us.
A creepy Halloween
just like an
store.
Old, like, like a joke and magic kind of store where he's like, I sell fake puke and I got these old fucking old magic tricks, and I could show you how to do them. And he also sells like weird Halloween masks and shit. Yeah, and now anytime I find a place like that, I go crazy in there. Like I found one out in Michigan City. There's this old it's like a costume store. They do mostly like rentals, and I did this last year and went and just bought a whole bunch of stuff like that old book. I bought that weird head thing up there. Just a whole bunch of stuff like that. I got a whole bunch of old distortions shit. That book actually has a tag on it. There's a witch mask up there. That is one as well. But I just like that kind of stuff. That old creepy. Everything's dusty and seems like it's from some other time. It's been in this place since the fucking...
Wait, are you talking about that hardware store we went to last year in St. Louis?
No, that was not a hardware store. That was a time portal.
We went to a hardware store last year. We went in, and they had... Thank you. And they had, they would not weigh with, regular, scales. They had, these scales, and then he's like, I'm feeling cottage cheese. And he grabs a cottage cheese container and puts our screws in, the cottage cheese container, and he's like, I hope you got cash, because cash is king. And Justin's holding his card, looking at him, just I got this. Pulled my cash out, paid for it. And then we get in the car, and he's just like, is this a DeLorean? Did we just go back in time?
Right.
Very old timey.
So something that so when me and Justin were younger, and I don't think a lot of people ever saw these. They were spin-off Goosebumps movies.
They were talking about
bone chillers.
Yeah. So I went and watched those this week.
So
There's 12 episodes of those.
So anyway, so there's only 12?
Yeah.
Okay. So for anyone that doesn't know what these
Maybe
are.
It's 13. I think it's 13.
You can watch, I'm pretty sure you can watch all of these on YouTube.
Yeah, they're all on a playlist too, so they play right after one.
If you just look up Bone Chillers, and there was always one, and I remember this one, detail by detail, man, and it was, because I think we got these when we were old. I mean, we were older.
Yeah,
we were probably
I don't remember
12
where we got
15,
them,
yeah.
But so we didn't. They played on ABC.
Okay.
They were made for ABC. I found that out this week when I was watching them on YouTube. They're all on YouTube. It's called Bone Chillers, and it was made for ABC. They played right before Gargoyles,
which was an awesome show.
Yeah, so we had a few of them on VHS.
Yeah, and the one I remember all the time was the cafeteria.
The cafeteria lady.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
So if you've never seen them,
it's called It's called Back to School.
Yeah, and in this episode, they go and they're eating this food in the cafeteria, but they start figuring out the food's made out of bugs. So there's all kinds of bugs in this food. So they're eating pizza, but on the pizza there's maggots.
I remember this.
Or cockroach. I don't remember. It was
what
something.
was the series of books? I don't know if you had it when you were a kid, but me and Jimmy did. There was a series of books that was all about, it was kind of like that. It'd be I don't know, my gym teacher's a werewolf, or my science teacher's
I do
an
know
anteater or some shit like that.
I was even
and it was all like that. I just thought of that, but it was all something like that.
Well, see if you look it up. I mean, on your phone, while we're sitting here. But anyway, so in this episode, they eat this food, and I don't remember, she was turning the kids into bugs, right? Or she was fattening them up, because the lunch lady's a bug lady, at the end.
What were those called?
What?
Those things. I remember watching this too.
Bone Chillers.
Was it something you could rent, or is it just something online?
I think you could rent them, because
I
we
rented
had them as VHSs.
Okay, yeah, I remember renting that. As you're telling the story,
and
I can remember. I can
it's
this
weird.
I can see the actors and the kids.
Yeah,
the cheesy,
and in your head.
And
yes.
The more you go, I just I
agree.
But
I always remember that we would. I mean, I don't know if Justin did, but for some reason, I would always watch that episode when I was eating. and it's just, like I'd be like eating pizza, and they're like eating this pizza that's like full of bugs and stuff. And I think it wasn't she gonna eat them. Like I don't remember what she was gonna do in the episode.
I thought she was feeding them to get them fatter so she could like eat them or something.
Yeah.
Nope, you guys don't remember it at all. They were eating that food, and the food was basically they were starting to grow larvae in their fucking necks and faces.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was terrible. They definitely shouldn't have been watching it when you were eating, but
makes it way better.
Yeah, she was. That's what it was. She was feeding them, but it had her larva like in the food, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, and it was like growing inside of them. There's a bunch of them, and I can't remember. I don't remember any other ones, but that one.
The Bailey School Kids is what that stuff was called.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So like this one says like vampires don't wear polka dots, and there's like genies don't ride bikes, leprechauns don't play basketball, all kinds of stuff like that. Santa Claus doesn't mop floors. The reason I brought this up is because like, so you have to understand like the premise of the show. So with Goosebumps, it was always some kids that just experienced something spooky, but these in Bone Chillers, like these kids went to like some scary fucking school. Like, it's, like, up on top of a mountain, and, like, everything's covered in, like, weeds and cobwebs and shit, and, like, everything's scary, and, like, the principal's, like, the devil or something. He's got, like, glowing red eyes, and just all kinds of, like, weird stuff. So it's, like, they were in, like, a haunted school, and then just weird stuff happened. Who sends their kids
to that school?
Do you know what I found out? So that show, just like a lot of other shows from the early 90s and 80s, had, like stereotypical kids. So you had like the one kid who's like really into like art and stuff. There was a whole episode where he had like a magical sketchbook and whatever he drew. That was actually episode 1. So in my opinion, this show had better production quality than in Goosebumps. This show, like episode
I think I remember
1,
this.
Yeah.
Where he could draw something
and
like,
it would like come to life.
Yeah.
It would like show up. So like the production value was great. So all the monsters and stuff were awesome. Episode 1, they had like 20 different monsters in it, like full things. So
yeah, isn't he like really into drawing monsters like when he starts though?
They draw like comics.
Yeah.
And they're trying to come up with like new characters.
I'm just
and
thinking of the Nightmare on Elm Street where the kid draws
Super Freddy.
Yeah.
That's all I thought of when you're like draws comics.
Yeah. So he episode 1 he draws a birthday card for his friend, but all he can draw is like monsters. So he draws this like big hairy horned fucking monster on like roller skates, and he has a birthday cake, and then the card says happy birthday and then whatever her name was. Well, then like at her house this monster shows up, and he's like a big 8 or 9 foot tall hairy fucking beast.
I remember this.
In pink overalls, in roller skates, and he has a birthday cake, and he throws it at her and says like happy birthday, and then like tries to attack her until he like rips it up, and then like the monster like goes away. Well, then he draws one, and it basically it gets loose, and it gets the sketchbook, and then it draws like 20 other monsters that all show up, but they've got like, this is all like episode 1. They do like a giant animated hand that comes and grabs their teacher and like just takes her out of the classroom, and just all kinds of stuff. It was awesome. And then
who sends their kids to this school though? like who's like, hey,
it was that district. You gotta go. You gotta go where you end up.
Yeah, you got no
you gotta
choice.
Go where we're taking you.
Yeah.
You're in the district county of 666.
So I was looking up who the characters were, because you've got the one kid who's your stereotypical dude, he's into like art and stuff, and then you've got your other guy that's kind of a placeholder for like Shaggy, and then you've got the girl that's into like music, and she's like a vegetarian and shit, and then you've got this other girl who's like a goth girl. That goth girl is the girl that played Velma in Scooby-Doo, and she's Hawkeye's wife in the MCU.
Oh yeah, I never knew that.
I didn't either until.
Huh? I didn't know that she played Velma.
Yeah, she played the hot Velma in the
live action ones.
Yeah, where they made her like.
And she's in.
She wore some real skimpy outfits.
She's in Grandma's
movies.
Boy.
Well, so does Velma's already some weird sweater she's wearing.
Yeah. So I didn't know that either till
Daphne and Fred
her name's
investigate on their own.
Linda Cardellini. I think that's her name. But I thought that was interesting. She started out in this show that no one's fucking watched.
She's in Juno too.
Is she?
Yeah, she's the one who plays Juno.
Is she? She's not.
Yeah.
The one that she's in Juno or she plays Juno.
I'm pretty sure she plays Juno.
She does not play Juno. That is Ellen Page, who goes by.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember. He's a he now. I don't remember what the first name is, but there was a change there.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, but those shows, I think they're like, in my opinion, they're better than Goosebumps. Now, they're different because with Goosebumps, it always ended with like a twist or whatever.
I always wanted more.
These ones are like singular episodes, and they're like non.
I don't remember seeing as many, but
linear.
The pizza one really, or the cafeteria lady one, that really did ring a bell. I want to say it's something I rented because I used to rent weird movies from it was Movie Gallery for me. It wasn't.
Well, I was watching it, and there's a whole bunch of actors in there that are like in a whole bunch of other stuff. Like there's the one teacher that turns into a frog. He's like a science teacher, and he eats these like radioactive frog eggs that they find like back.
I remember
in school.
that one. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, I remember. The more you talk about these, the more I'm like, I remember these.
Because I told you I started watching them. I watched like half of them, and then but that actor, he's in a lot of Disney stuff. I think he plays like the main like president or whoever it is in Xena or Xenon, the girl of the 21st century. It was a Disney movie.
I don't remember many of those anymore. Justin.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, I imagine. And then they had I think he's the guy that plays Gollum. And he
about to be Alfred?
It might be
Andy Serkis?
I think so.
We may have to check that up.
I'm not sure his name. I know he's in a bunch of other stuff, but he plays like the maintenance man.
I'll do a Google for you.
And he lives like under the fucking.
I wouldn't
school.
be shocked, but just Andy Serkis, I always think of, he's the king of like capturing with motion capture. He's the one that started that. You can have CGI characters, but you should have them with a green suit on so you can actually like capture to their movement and get their movement.
Wasn't he in a Halloween movie too? Andy
Serkis?
Pretty sure he has a cameo as a doctor in one of the Halloweens. Actually, I don't think it's Halloween. I think it's Nightmare on Elm Street. And I think he's trying to put Nancy to sleep.
I don't remember. I really don't. Like, I just remember he just did a bunch of green screen stuff for me. Like, when I think of Andy Serkis, I just think of like Gollum in the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, and then he did Snoke for the new Star Wars movie, and he played Caesar in all of the Planet of the Apes.
Right.
And that's where Matt Reeves liked him, and they kind of got to Shining, and why Matt Reeves, who's directing the new Batman movie, casted him as Alfred. Also, did you know he directed the newest Venom movie?
Okay, this is not him.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, I couldn't find him on Google.
Yeah, I don't know who.
You're fine. Just more thought of Andy. I'm like, it can't be Andy Serkis. He was working on Lord of the Rings at this point in the green suit. You can call me Precious.
I don't think he was called Precious.
So.
Precious.
Yeah. He said, you can call me
Charles
Precious.
Fleischer.
You can call me Precious.
Charles Fleischer.
Okay.
Yeah, he played the. This is what I'm thinking of. He's the voice of Roger Rabbit.
Oh, okay.
Not Gollum. He does the voice of Roger Rabbit, and then he had a cameo in A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay.
Apparently, he was also a voice in
the original or the remake.
Was he super?
The original.
Oh, okay.
He was actually in it. It's just like a quick, like I said, he's like a doctor.
The once put her
in it. Yeah.
Once put her sleep.
Yeah, but in it he does like 100. He just changes his accent all the time. Some just constantly. It's just like a weird like character quirk, but all these things are a part of like when we were kids. Like, do you remember like Scholastic book fairs?
Oh yeah.
I feel like
if
there was a
culture. Money, you weren't
having
a good time.
Right. There was like a boy culture with like gross out stuff or like slightly scary stuff. I was
obsessed with Goosebumps. I don't know why. Yeah. I never even collected them all, but I probably have about 30.
I mean, that was for like a long time though. Like, what was like it was like the Easy Bake Oven, but it was like the version for it was like creepy crawlers. You could like cook like. No, you could cook like gummy like spiders and like worms and stuff. It was all over like Cartoon Network when we were kids. Yeah, but it was like the spook. I mean, there's like the spooky oven or something.
The food was terrible.
I mean, definitely was not tasty.
No,
those things show up like constantly on lists of like the most dangerous children's toys because it's basically like a hot plate that you're giving your kid. It's next to like nuclear test kits that gave kids like trace amounts of like plutonium and like a glass blowing kit where it's like heat this sand up to 20,000 fucking.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we were kids, there was like a gross out like culture. I remember books from Scholastic Book Fair.
But I'm not trying to stop you there. Yeah. I'm just saying it didn't even stop when we were young though. Because we even talked about it, I think maybe last week. I don't know if it was in the podcast itself or just in when we were talking. But like the Cirque du Freak and even out of books became even a thing like middle school and high school. So like I feel like that was a genre that was kind of pushed on us. Like without us realizing.
So while we're on books, I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
I don't know if Jimmy will know this. He might, but I'm pretty sure you'll know what I'm talking about as soon as I start bringing it up. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that we had a book when we were younger?
Yeah.
Called In a Dark, Dark Room. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
No.
So we had a book when we were younger, and this book was like it was almost like that Creep Show episode where it's like an anthology, like there's like a bunch of different stories.
Okay.
But like in this book, like it had all this stuff, and one of the ones I remember all the time is of like this kid, and it had like pictures in it too, but it was just like scary like pictures. Mm-hmm. And this kid like he meets a guy on the street, and he's like, "Hey, I need some directions."
What you're talking about. I remember this dude's teeth.
Yeah, and he had like big teeth, and then he meets like another guy who's got like scary teeth. Then he meets another guy who's got scary teeth. That's like that whole story. Yeah. But there was one where like it had like some girl and she's like dating some guy, but she wears a ribbon around her neck like all the time.
That wasn't in this book. That's in Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
That's what when you're saying.
No, it's in that book.
I remember Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I didn't.
Yeah, no, it's in that book. It's on the cover.
Scary Stories?
No, the girl with the ribbon. It's in that book. It's on the cover of the book. I looked it up today.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, those are urban legends, so it's not like it's exclusive to...
But the story's basically she's got a ribbon that she wears around her neck. And, like, for years, like, this dude's like, hey, like, why didn't you take this ribbon off? Like, why didn't you take this ribbon off? Like, her husband. They get, like, married. They grow old. Well, she gets sick. And she's going to die. And she tells him, like, basically, like... before I die, you can take this ribbon off. Like, and he does, and her head falls off. And that's, like, the end of the story. Is that, like, her head just falls off.
Man, you are fucking awakening some fucking memories in my mind with this book.
I think about the guy with the teeth all the time. Just want to let you know that. Like, sometimes I'll just... Like, I couldn't remember what it was for a long time. But I just remembered this book. And, like, I don't know why we had this. Like, it definitely... felt like it shouldn't have been like a kid's book.
It's definitely a children's book. It's a part of a series of books called I Can Read.
Yeah, it's scary though.
So another thing though, as we're getting on this,
you're talking about
did
the
we ever
green
read
ribbon.
any Goosebumps?
That's the one that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So this is what he's talking about, which
show
is
him,
like...
see if you can find the picture of the dude with the teeth.
Oh, he's right here.
And show Jimmy that, and tell me this wouldn't creep you out if you like.
So like this is what he's talking about. And, like, the guy gets worse, and then it ends with this, like, fucking Tommy Chong-looking motherfucker.
What is it? Let me see. Tommy Chong. That was, like, a book that we read. There was, like, a bunch of them.
Yeah, here's all three of the guys. I don't know, he's just running into hobos.
Yeah, just
outside of
dudes
the street.
with meth mouth.
Yeah.
What they really didn't tell you is he lived on, like, the Lower East End.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Like, there was, like, a culture of, like, children's horror. And this is the end of the,
But it wasn't just
children's,
ribbon. Though. Like, it was pushed to us as young adults, too.
I think it ended with Twilight. I think Twilight killed it.
What?
Like, children's horror.
No, because that Demonata series was coming out.
That was before Twilight.
Yeah, it was before Twilight. Dude, you went into Twilight and then you went.
I mean, it was like during, but I wouldn't consider Twilight as
coming out as Twilight. Demonata was afterwards. But then after that, I don't remember reading much after Darren Shan after Demonata. I read a couple.
He came out with a couple of shitty series.
Executioner. And,
yeah, the Thin Executioner is good.
Yeah, I didn't think that was
but
bad.
It's more of an adult. I mean, he made another book.
He tried to get a run at like a mid-grade.
What's that book you read by him? That was like
Procession of the Dead.
Yeah, where it's
I
like
didn't really read all.
It's
that.
supposed to be like an adult book that he wrote, but I heard it sucked.
He switched to like going from a younger audience because also a lot of we were growing up.
Yeah.
You know,
but he wrote a series called Zombie.
Yeah.
That like I read the first, I don't know, 6 of those books maybe. And I mean they're pretty good. Like it's like another thing of he did vampires, he did like demons and werewolves, and then he was doing zombies.
To say, like, Goosebumps kind of started it with us as a kid, but it didn't necessarily end with us as kids. Like it continued. I mean, it obviously did not end with us because we all 3 helped run a haunted house.
Right. So
still got the
something I find strange. I mean, I don't find it strange. I mean, I get why they're doing it, but even R.L. Stine, who he writes the Goosebumps books, or wrote the Goosebumps books,
right?
He's now moved into
like a young adult
writing, young adult like kind of horror where it's like more adult themed.
Well, he didn't move into it. He's done that for a long time.
So something, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Jimmy's seen these. I know Justin has. On Netflix, there's a series of 3 movies
He's talking about Fear Street
that they just came out with called Fear Street.
What's supposed to be R.L. Stine's preteen work, like this first, like I don't know if he made anything else that's been made into like a movie, but isn't supposed to be like his, like you said, his preteen stuff, his after adult.
Yeah, Fear Street is. I mean, he made it in the '90s and early 2000s also.
And so, if you haven't seen the movies, spoilers ahead, I guess.
You should see them.
I mean, they're good. I'm not gonna lie, they're great movies.
They're also quite. I wasn't like scared, but I thought they were a better take at horror movies than I've seen in a long time, and I actually thought
compared to like some big name horror movies that we've seen, yes.
And I also
what was
thought
like
the killer was
really
very
awesome
vicious.
about him? Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna get into that's what I'm heading towards.
Yeah.
So whereas like in your Goosebumps books, like you never had any kids like, really getting like. I mean, I guess you had kids that died, but like you never really had it where it was like a gruesome death.
Right.
But in Fear Street, I mean, even in the first, I haven't read the books, but in the first movie, like the whole movie, they're like cutting people up and like, like there's a scene in the movie where
like a Scream, to be honest, because in Scream they're butchering people.
Yeah, well, there's a scene at the end of the movie, towards like the end of the movie, where a dude sticks her head through a pastrami slicer at like a deli and like cuts her head in half.
Well, that's the part that where like my opinion of it changed.
Yeah.
Because like you're following like the same like 5 people.
Yeah, and then they just murk
and,
like 4 of them
right,
off the rip.
Like in every horror movie, you're following like a couple of people, and then their like peripheral friends all die. But like like the main character, he or she will either be okay or die right at the end. And then like you're like, man, there's an hour left in this movie, and he's killed 3 of the main characters, and you're like, man, no one's safe.
Yeah, definitely. So if you haven't seen them, definitely watch them.
With the classic R.L. Stine, the end has a classic twist. Mm-hmm. Has like a big twist at the end.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a good twist. Like I didn't like it at first. Like when I first watched all 3 of them, I was like, I wasn't a huge fan of the twist at the end.
I was okay with it, but
I rewatched the last one, and I think the reason I didn't like the twist at the end is because I didn't really like. I watched the first 2, like I like actually watched them, and the last one I watched like just throughout the day. I kind of like I had it on, but I wasn't really paying attention, and it's definitely, it's definitely an interesting idea, so the thing about these movies I like too is it goes through like, if you're a horror fan, it goes through like the decades and like styles of horror.
Right.
So in the first one, it's very like Scream-esque, where it's very meta and like
feels 90s.
Yeah, well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, it feels like you're like Scream, you're I Know What You Did Last Summer, like those kind of movies. Well, then in the second one, it feels very Friday the 13th, and I mean that's like the idea. And then in the last one, it feels a lot like if you've ever seen like The Witch or like The Village
or any Hocus Pocus or Salem.
Yeah, and it's like I don't know, like I enjoyed them thoroughly as like a horror watcher, and I would like to see like honestly I'd like to read those books because I've heard that they're not that like the movies aren't exactly the books, that it's just kind of a loose
very few
kind of
books are ever
no, but you know what I mean, like
I'm just saying though, they always
like that story isn't in the Fear Street books, that it's like there's like a whole nother story that goes on.
Right.
That is what they talk about, but like that story happens, but it's not the main story. So, I mean, but R.L. Stine also did he did another series that they put out on, I want to say it was like Nick at Night, Teen Nick or something.
No, he didn't do that series. You're talking about Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah, but isn't that's R.L. Stine, right?
I don't know. It's right up there. Why don't you grab it?
I'm pretty sure that's R.L. Stine.
It's not R.L. Stine. It's basically the answer to Goosebumps.
Yeah.
It's do not have Are You Afraid of the Dark up here.
Yeah, it's up there.
But I mean,
or maybe just
on movies that were more adult and like dealt with like adult themes, another one that
there it is. Okay.
That like I remember from growing up was always Don't Look Under the Bed.
Yeah. Well, that was like that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is this like it was like children's horror that existed in the 90s and early 2000s that just I don't see it anymore. I just don't.
Yeah.
Like you look at it now and you've got like Vampirina and like Hotel Transylvania, but like that's not even close to like what we had. So you like if you
also
look at all the like
times.
Well, yeah, but if you look at all the classic like Disney Halloween movies, they all came out in like the early 2000s or 90s. Hocus Pocus, Halloween Town, Tower of Terror, fucking Don't Look Under the Bed. Under
What
Wraps,
was
all
another
that
movie that felt like it should have been like an R.L. Stine book?
What's that?
The Phantom and the Megaplex.
Uh-huh.
I feel like that should have been
is that
like a Goosebumps book.
Right, yeah.
But and that movie's not good. Like I've watched it like recently. It's not a good movie.
I like it.
Yeah, but you also like shitty movies sometimes too.
Sometimes.
And I mean, everybody's got that. I mean, like it's like I'll watch it, but if I was to take that movie and put it up against like a blockbuster movie, like I'm not gonna be like I want to watch, Phantom of the Megaplex over like Avengers Endgame, like it doesn't really match up. And my thing about fan of like that is like I don't know, I feel like that doesn't feel like a Disney movie to me so much as it feels like I should have watched it on like VHS, like renting it from like.
Well, it's a Disney Channel movie.
Yeah.
It's a very specific. It's a teenage.
Yeah.
Kind of horror thing.
It's taken a story that is horror-esque and turning it into like a children's thing. I mean.
Yeah.
They've been doing that for a long time.
Yeah.
Which Goosebumps did we actually read, though, as we go back? Not just the ones we watched. Did we ever read any Goosebumps?
I tried to. Like, I had a
I
bunch
did.
of them.
Like,
they were my first books, like, I ever tried to read, and I'm being honest, could not read. It was like I would start them, I'd always get about halfway, and just would never finish it.
Me too. I don't know what it was, but as a kid, I would read, but I would not read, like, novels. Like, I never read Harry Potter. I never read, like, Goosebumps. What I read was, like...
Because this was, like, for me, it was, like, elementary school. That's when I was trying to read Goosebumps. And then, like I said, I swear, I like that camp of... Not Camp Crystal Lake, but there was a Goosebump. It was, like, Camp of the Cursed Lake or something. Okay. I remember I tried reading that because I had to look for the cover, and I found it.
Yeah. And
I had tried reading that for a summer, like, and I'd constantly, like, and I was weird. I'd get, like, halfway through it, and I'd stop reading for a couple weeks, and I'd go to, like, pick it up. I'm like, I don't remember anyone in this book, so I'm just going to restart it for the fifth time.
I don't know. They all seemed like that. Like, for some reason, like if you were to ask me today, so, like, we've all read the Cirque du Freak books.
Yeah.
if you were to ask me today to like tell you what the Cirque du Freak books were about, I could give you like a pretty good rundown of like what happens in those books.
When we talked about this the other week, I was trying to like remember like what. Literally, I was just thinking about this the other day. Like, what do I remember from those books? And like, I would read them again just because it's been so long. But like, I was literally thinking about this. Like,
and I mean, I'm sure if we started talking about them.
I remember him being like in the circus, cleaning up and stuff. Vampire, Vampinese, vampire. And
it's like a whole thing.
I can never remember the endings of these books. That's my problem. Like, I remember like.
No, I can tell you exact. Like I can tell you the exact timeline of those books. Only read them once. Could tell you exactly what happened.
I find it interesting because I found that first book. So like I read that way before anyone else did. Like I read that first book when it came out, and it was not like a big thing. I found that in a bookstore that's not there anymore, and it sucks that it's not there. So there used to be a bookstore at the Lighthouse Mall. Yeah. And we used
I remember that
we
one.
used to go there.
It's still there. It's just, or it was still there. I've been there.
I've been there multiple times trying to find it, and you can't find it. But we used to go there when they would do like midnight releases of like Harry Potter. Mm-hmm. So I remember it's almost like kind of magical. It makes you think like you're in Harry Potter because you're going to this old creepy bookstore at fucking midnight in like the middle of a dark parking lot with a bunch of people dressed in robes shit.
I went to Barnes & Noble. I'm 30 and no one wore robes.
Yeah. So, but we used to go there all the time. And one time that we went there, I found this book and I was like, Cirque du Freak. Like I've always been into freak shows and like shit, and like I was like, this looks awesome, so I got it and I read that. Like it must have been right when it came out because it was not popular yet. So like I was on the first wave of people that was like, this is cool, and then just read everyone after that.
I like the movie they made too. I remember not being that mad at the movie. And
I just think it's not as popular as they think, because like, the problem is they're taking every like children's or like
I think they would be better off making a TV series.
Probably. I think almost
like
every book.
Yeah, I think if Netflix picked it up,
or not even Netflix, I could see Disney Plus or something else because it's not that dark.
It gets pretty
dark towards the middle of that book. Like the first one, it's like like nice vampire, like he works for the circus.
But I mean, it's really not.
But even in the
you got a werewolf eating people and chomping on dudes' heads.
Well, no, he bites that chick's arm off and then she grows her arm back.
For real.
If you haven't read these books, they're like 10 years old. Spoiler alert. but no. So before we moved away, what I was gonna say is, like, I could tell you about all those books, but I read Goosebumps books and could not tell you, like I could tell you, like, the cover. Like, I remember there was a book,
right,
and it was, like, skeletons, like, grilling. Like, that's what I remember.
Say cheese and die.
Yep.
Yeah. But I could not tell you what that book was about at all.
I think that was a big, like, selling point of those books. And I've heard...
You couldn't remember them?
Read them 20 times, you won't remember them. No, the fucking covers and like artwork.
It's what made me want to get them. They look creepy, and I like the way that they looked when you spined them out because it would have a number on it, and it would almost like maybe gotta get fear of missing out. But I wanted to have them all. Like my grandparents and parents were all about garage sales. I kid you not, I probably got about 30 Goosebumps books in my house.
Right. I remember when they would do the Scholastic book fairs. They would bring you those, like, it was like a paper magazine that would show you stuff that was like gonna be there. And I remember they would always just have like a whole part that was covered in like the green slime, where it would just show like all the Goosebumps books that
Smenzels, bro,
would be there. Oh yeah, that's what it was all about. Fucking pencils that smell like grapes.
If you didn't have a grape smelling pencil, you weren't cool.
But when I was a kid, I just didn't read those kinds of books. Like, I remember just cycling through in elementary school, because I remember like the library in elementary school, and I remember just going through just books about monsters. Like, there was books called straight up like werewolves, and I would just get that book and just read everything about like fucking werewolves, and then I would go and get, all right, now I'm gonna check out vampires, and like it was all They were more in like the adult section of this elementary school.
The library in elementary school.
Huh?
I was not using the library in elementary school.
I was all the time, man. But only to get monster books.
I'm pretty sure
or
her
the
name
Guinness
was
Book of
Mrs. Cook.
The World Records.
World Records. They had that every year. See, that's what I was kind of talking about with like the gross out kind of culture was. I remember, like every year they would have like the Guinness Book of World Records, but it would always feature like the grossest shit.
The woman with the longest fingernails.
Right, exactly. Or like this dude fucking. They put like the cover always had like a hologram kind of look.
Holographic.
Yeah, and then like inside, like the first page would have like a dude, like a big ass plate lip or fucking eyelids on his forehead or whatever, like some weird shit. And then there was another book that I imagine was probably made by the same people, and I think it was called, it was either called like Gross Out or That's Gross or the Encyclopedia of Gross or something. And I had this book, and it was just like
it was like the Encyclopedia of Weird and something.
Something. But if you've seen the Addams Family with like the movie with what is his name? What's Doc Brown's name? Christopher Lloyd and stuff, where he plays Uncle Fester and stuff. There's a part where they're like going through a book, and he's like, "Oh, what's next? Scabs." And like, this is how that book was. It was like, we're gonna talk about scabs and fucking vomit and toe fungus and fucking does your hair like keep growing after you're like dead. And it was just this whole just big book of all this stuff. And like, I feel like that was like a culture when we were kids that's not around anymore. You don't hear kids like, you don't hear them talking about that stuff. I don't even know if they still do scholastic book fairs.
They do.
Yeah.
So, besides like the gross out thing, something else that was like part of the culture back then was like the cartoons that we had were just like, they were weird. Like
some like Gargoyles, Cat Dog.
Well, no. I'm saying like horror cartoons. Okay.
Here it is.
Very obvious one, Courage the Cowardly Dog.
That was a good show.
You know, and great show.
On at evening too. It only come on at like 8, 9 o'clock
Yeah.
at night. So
But I always remember there was an episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog where he like, I don't remember what's going on, but he sees like this like ghost lady, and she was always like pointing, and she was like super scary looking. And but Courage like keeps like walking by, and she's like pointing him where he needs to go. So he just walks by this like scary ghost lady, like in this show. Justin, you remember what I'm talking about? Or were you not listening?
I wasn't listening. I'm reading about. So I found it. It's called Oh Yuck, the Encyclopedia of Everything Nasty. And on the cover, it has a very early 2000s like Cartoon Network ad guy obscenely picking his nose, and on the side it says eye gunk, leeches, poop, halitosis, skunks, spiders, jails, acne, ants, body odor, maggots, lice, fungus, ticks, burping, scabs, snot, slugs, toilets, and vomit. And this is what this book's about. Here's a picture. We used to have shit like this all the time. And they wonder why we turned out how we turned out.
But also, as you're saying that, we're literally the children of parents that grew up with the 80s horror.
It's true.
My mom grew up watching every 80s horror and already knew it and seen it in theaters and stuff. So then when we got to our generation, horror was nothing to them. So introducing it to us as kids was a way of our parents being into it as well as the kids themselves.
Right, and I mean Jacob's right. We definitely had like everything was scary, like the cartoons.
Yeah, like so. This is what I'm talking about. Do you remember this from Courage the Cowardly Dog?
That's the mummy's curse. Return the slab of suffer my curse.
Yeah, but like,
Jesus is like, what's your offer?
But like she like points like one way, and he like goes that way. I remember there's like a few seconds go by.
He fucking points. The guy points. It's like a storm of locusts that come and
oh yeah, I forgot.
They're like bleeding bathtubs and shit. Courage the Cowardly Dog was the scariest shit ever.
Oh, it was cool. They always had something weird and creepy on there. It was a neat show.
Yeah.
Do you know what was terrifying? Adult Swim.
I know. Full disclosure, I told you like how I went to my grandpa Tim's house and like we watched Halloween when I was 5, or I told Justin like in our first podcast. So yeah, so like I used to be at my grandpa Tim's all the time. My mom wouldn't get off till 11, and it would be a nightmare. My grandpa would be like, 7:30, I'm going to bed. You want to come and sleep with me? You're like, oh.
Wow.
I'm already like 6 years old. And I'd already be like,
Are we doing this right now, Joe? Are you letting this out?
No, Grandpa, I don't think I'd want to go in your room. He's like, okay, well, you can just watch TV. She'd be like, all right. So I'd be watching like cartoons on like Cartoon Network. And like you said, 8 o'clock, like clockwork, it just become Adult Swim. And I would be watching the absolute craziest stuff. Like, no, I'm going to try to find another cartoon station. Ain't nothing. Well, looks like we're going back to whatever this is on Adult Swim, and I'm watching.
They tricked you, man. They tricked you.
Hold on, wait. So it started out, and it was like American Dad, Family Guy. You're like, all right.
It always
Robot
went,
Chicken.
It always went Family Guy, Futurama, and then Robot Chicken.
No, Futurama was never on Adult Swim.
100% it was.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
Futurama is a Comedy Central show.
Dude, we didn't have Comedy Central.
It was not on that.
I'll put money on it. That
It went Family Guy,
because I don't watch American Dad and never have.
Robot Chicken, because American Dad wasn't out in like the
That was
early
on there
2000s.
for sure.
Robot Chicken.
As soon as you heard Sheikh Sula, the Mike Rula, you know it was getting dark. Because
then-
Aqua Teen Hunger Force was
Yeah,
coming on.
and then Aqua Teen Hunger Force for like 3 hours.
Aqua Teen Hunger Force. I don't remember. I do remember the Robot Chicken. I don't remember watching Family Guy. I remember watching like Space Ghost.
No, see, that's the problem. I would fall asleep during Family Guy and then wake up to their creepy ass, like, fucking bumps that they would play with their ads with the TV, like, trying to talk to you.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
It'd be
just words on the screen. Are you tired?
Yeah.
You should be asleep.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
You just wake up and it'd be like, Justin, why are you awake this
Yeah,
late?
for real.
You're like, what the fuck?
Like, I like how you guys
We're
say
watching you,
you
Justin.
fall asleep. Well, I wouldn't fall asleep. I would sit there from 8 till 11:30 till my mom came, and she'd walk in, and it'd be like, Aqua Teen Hunger Force on the TV, and she'd be like, what are you watching? And I'd
Great
just look at her.
Great show.
I don't know.
Great
Like,
show.
I don't even know what I'm watching. I'm like,
Meet while I get
6.
the door. It's Dracula.
No, see, but when I was a kid, dude, I swear, I don't remember what episode it was, but I think it was like the one where like Carl keeps bleeding from all his orifices because these aliens are making him like watch this show. But I swear, they played the same episode of Adult Swim or of Aqua Teen Hunger Force like 35 times in a row, and I kept and they're only like 12 or 15 minutes long. So it's like every half hour block that you would have on your fucking like what's up next would have it twice. So I would like be watching this and I would fall asleep and then I would wake up and it'd be at the same part in the show. And then I would fall asleep, wake up, it'd be at the same part in the show.
This is why you
and
turn
it
your
did
TV
this
off.
this went on for like I thought I was in hell. I'm like, I'm dead and this is my hell. I have to watch the same episode of Adult Swim forever of Aqua Teen Hunger Force. And it was just the scariest stuff.
Do you remember Super Jail?
No, I
Yes.
never watched that show.
So
I shouldn't talk about. Never mind.
It was just so scary. You'd wake up to like the most outlandish shit. You'd see like Space Ghost coast to coast, and you're like, this was never on, telling me that this show is gonna like come on. Because once you hit like 11 o'clock, it just says like paid programming. It doesn't tell you like what the show is. And you'd wake up and it'd be like,
it was a nightmare.
it'd be like something fucking. It's like you're watching a cartoon, and
See,
for
Justin
some reason in
explains
the
it of, like,
cartoon,
you watch
there's
a
a
little bit
TV
and
and
fall
Slash from fucking Guns N' Roses is on it. And you're like, what is going on? And why did they chainsaw his head? And it's just, it's terrifying.
like, could you imagine if like, I don't know who controls like that television, like Cartoon Network, bro.
Yeah.
It's like, could you imagine if you were watching like the Disney Channel?
Uh-huh.
It's like, it was like, what was that show we always used to watch on Disney Channel? Even Stevens. It's like Even Stevens is on, and like 9 o'clock hits, and it's like chainsaws and chainsaws of death. We're cutting each other in half.
Well, I watched something about Adult Swim, and it talked about like what it was, and it said like, so like TV used to not be on 24 hours a day. It used to end at like 8 o'clock or whatever. They would play the fucking national anthem, and then like the TV would turn off, and it would turn on again early in the morning with like the morning news. Well, Adult Swim was on Cartoon Network, and they basically told these guys like, you can do whatever you want. We have these like rights to these cartoons. That's when Family Guy got canceled. That's why it started playing on Adult Swim. Same thing with Futurama. Like they got all these like rights to these things because Cartoon Network is owned by Ted Turner, who had all these rights to all these like shows and shit. So they just threw up all this stuff. Well, then they would have like, they wouldn't have any sponsors for commercials, but an episode of Family Guy is not half an hour long. It's like 22 minutes. So you have to have 8 minutes of ads in there to make up your half-hour block. So that's why they started just coming up with these crazy fucking bumps with a black screen with just writing on it, or they'd show like, I remember when I was a kid, for whatever reason, it scared the hell out of me. Like they kept playing the music video for Feel Good Inc. from the Gorillaz, and it was like, what the fuck is this? Why doesn't he have any eyes? I'm so fucking scared. And it was just like,
but see now it goes Cartoon Network all day, and then it goes Adult Swim from, I want to say it starts at like 8:00, and then it ends at midnight, and at midnight it turns into Toonami.
Yeah.
And then it plays anime until like 4 a.m. Or like, no, until 7 a.m. And then at 7 a.m. it starts playing like cartoons again.
Right.
But like as it goes on, even the anime like gets dark. Like it'll start and it's like we're gonna play like Dragon Ball Z, and it'll play like Dragon Ball Z. And then it's like the last anime we're gonna play is some scary anime that's got like 4 episodes. We're going to play the same 4 episodes for the next year.
So, why are you so quiet?
Listening to you guys.
Feel free to chime in whenever you want, Jimbo.
You're both very loud, and I just kind of got a little quiet there and let you kind of rant on our tsunami. Are we going to reel back before we keep going on this, back to Goosebumps?
So,
just
Goosebumps,
tangents, man.
So there's another series of books I read. I must have been pretty young. I don't remember exactly when, but it was it's called Dark Side. And it's about this kid that goes, it takes place in London. And he goes and finds this like hidden door, and then like he goes into it, and then he ends up in this place that's like, it looks like Victorian fucking London, and everything's like foggy and scary, and it's just full of monsters. And he meets this detective. His name's Carnegie, and he's a fucking werewolf, and everyone's like afraid of him. And there's like a statue of like Jack the Ripper and shit, and I don't remember a lot of it, but I remember that I liked it quite a bit. I think there's a lot of that where it's like going to, a mysterious world where there's monsters, so there's no rules. Can you think of anything like that? I mean, Harry Potter's kind of like that too. What do you think?
We're like, what do you mean? There are monsters and no rules. What are you trying to say?
So, like, as a boy, you've got, you're like rambunctious. Can't be loud inside. Don't fucking run around. No wrestling.
See,
no
you
fighting.
say all this. I was an only child that used to hang out at his grandparents' house. My ultimate Saturday was just laying there, doing absolutely not a damn thing in the world, and reading a book and air conditioning. To this day, my favorite pastime is when it's 110 degrees outside, and I can be in an air-conditioned room, sitting there, just reading, watching the day go by, and my cousin always comes in, very sweaty. He's like, "So what you do today?" And I'll like lean back in my chair, read. Is that all you did? It's a wonderful day. It's very cool. Got to watch the heat outside. It's very nice.
Right. I don't know. I think that's a common kind of theme that, there's a world beyond ours that you can go to, and you can, you can
that's
be
like,
more...
like the books that do well have to have that. Your Cirque du Freak, where vampires could exist in the world. Harry Potter, where that, even the new one, which they're pushing right now because Disney Plus just announced it. I don't know if you guys ever read that. The Percy Jackson and the Olympians.
I didn't read it, but I saw the movie. It was good.
The movie was terrible, especially the book. But it was a similar...
Dug it.
It was okay, just it could have been better. But supposedly that's what they're doing with Disney Plus now, is like making that into a show. But it's another thing, though, where you can get into this world. The world is believable because, you go to this certain spot, and if you have your dad took off, it's kind of a great thing. You know, you didn't have your dad in your life. It's
Right.
actually your dad was Zeus. He came down.
Funny thing.
You're a demigod. You're part god. Now you get to go to this camp. You get to train a spears and do chariots.
You got to go to summer camp. Congrats.
Yeah, but like the Hogwarts though, like having a year-to-year book, but like that's the books that I feel like you kind of get into. Even like Demon Otter was kind of the same way, or Search the Freak, where you're like, whoa, that there could be this other world that could exist in the world. It's entertaining, and I think it helps with books, especially like kids' books and stuff.
Yeah, it's like like the idea that there's like another, I don't know, another place that it's definitely a theme that runs through a lot of literature. I mean, I don't know if it starts with this, but like the oldest one I can think of is like, it's like Peter Pan. Like, you go off to fucking Neverland.
Oh, yeah.
Get to have adventures with Indians and fucking pirates, and you don't grow up, and you're out in the woods and shit. Or you've got, you know, it's like Huck Finn and Tom Sawyer. Like, we're gonna fucking make a raft and row down the fucking Mississippi to Mexico or wherever they're trying to go.
I don't think that's necessarily. I don't think children's horror. I mean, now some of it is, like, you got things like Little Monsters,
Yeah,
which you could consider like kind of like a horror, like adventure, like horror adjacent movie.
well, yeah, they're all like that. I mean, none of them are like,
But-
we took our fucking arms eaten off by a werewolf.
But no, but I mean, I think a lot of your children's like the Goosebumps, like I think it's it's not like, I don't know, like it's like as an adult you're like, what if I get kidnapped?
But I don't know. We were talking earlier. I'm not trying to pause you
Right.
there. When you said that it was we said we're not trying to be mean, but we don't remember the Goosebump books. Like, I can remember the movies, but I don't remember the books. It's almost that when you read those books, there's no way I would be in that world. Like, I never thought I was stepping in. Like, I'm not going to horror theme park. Like, I wish that was a thing, but like I just know, like, you know, couldn't imagine my dad being like, stay out of the basement. And, like, some plant model. I never
what I'm
could jump
saying
in that
is,
world.
I think the Goosebumps books in particular really kind of capitalized on this idea. Like, the Bone Chillers did it too, where they capitalized on this idea of like I don't know, you know, I mean, I've seen like memes and stuff where it's like you're coming up from like your basement,
Yeah.
and you cut the lights off and then you sprint up the stairs because you don't want the monster to grab your ankle.
Right.
So I think that's where like your stay out of the basement comes from. Is like, what's in the basement? And I think a lot of people are like especially when you're a kid,
Well, just like in
you're like, well, what if there's a monster in
Home
the
Alone.
basement? You know? Yeah.
when he's all afraid and it's just the radiator
Right.
in the basement, and it turns on and the heat comes on, he thinks it's like alien eyes or something, and he like sprints up the stairs.
Well, I mean, horror is just adventure with
Well, what I'm saying,
a worse danger.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, I don't think you're like, like I don't think the Goosebumps. I mean, like, you have some, like, I would say like Adventure at Horrorland's kind of like Peter Pan. I mean, there's fucking demons there, but I don't think they're like, yeah, let's hang out with these demons. But I think like the idea of going to this theme park that's like ran by monsters is like a cool idea. But I think a lot of those books play off, or like the movies or the episodes of the show play off the idea of like this very very common fear that a lot of people have, like the Bone Chiller episode with like the bug lady. Like, how many kids do you think are afraid of bugs? I mean, they're not like,
I know a grown man that would be screaming right now if we put a bug in.
Well, I
his
think
leg.
that's a
what I'm saying.
primal fear. It's not even just
well,
bugs.
no, I'm just saying
It's a
in
fear of
general. Like, you got
parasites.
stuff like that all the time. Like,
Right.
like, and you know, it's not like Halloween or like Strangers, where it's like Michael Myers is scary because he's gonna cut my head off.
Right.
You know, I'm not afraid of, you know, the bug lady because she's running around with a chainsaw.
Right.
To me, it's scary because she's gonna plant like larvae in me, and like,
Yeah.
like that's what, like, I think that's what the scare was, is because they couldn't put like R.L. Stine couldn't come out with a book and it's like eating with Leatherface like. And it's like the kid went down to Texas and got cut up and eaten and made mass out of him.
I think what's important about it is like the reason that horror is important. The reason that I think horror is so important to kids is it's like if you're never presented with, if no one ever tells you there's a boogeyman in your closet, you never get the experience of learning to not be afraid of it. Horror is just adventure with higher stakes and a scarier bad guy. If you don't have an opposing force, you don't have an adventure. If you don't have Nazis that are trying,
you don't have a story.
Right. If you don't have Nazis that are trying to steal the Ark, you don't have an Indiana Jones. If you don't have, the Empire that's trying to blow up planets and shit, you don't have Star Wars. And yeah, that's scary, but like, do you know how scary Darth Vader is? Like, you could easily turn him into a very frightening person.
Yes.
With a slight change of mood, slight change of camera.
No. Darth Vader, it was creepy, robotic voice, whatever. Okay. Darth Maul, just red face, looked like a demon.
Well, hold on.
Horns growing everywhere.
So, I'm going to cut in here. The difference is, okay, so, like we'll take the story of Peter Pan, okay? Sure. Peter Pan, the Lost Boys, they fight Hook and the pirates, okay? It's like the main villain in that book.
Yeah.
It would be a different thing if like Peter and the Lost Boys were like some kids that got kidnapped and were put on an island, and then they were just being hunted by these like rich grown-ups.
Right.
And like if they caught them, they were gonna like cut their heads off and like skin them alive. Be a different, like they say it like kill you, but like you're like, okay, Peter Pan's gonna win. The reason Halloween and like movies like that are scary is because you're like, okay, what if Michael really does kill Laurie Strode? Like, I think that's like, not if you've seen it before, but I'm saying like when you first watch a movie like that, you're like, could she die right here? Yeah, but like Peter, like in like Peter Pan, like the whole time he's like mocking Captain Hook. He like. It's like a whole thing of like Captain Hook's always like the butt of the jokes in there.
Well, that's because it's made for children.
That's what I'm saying. It's an adventure
time,
though.
Like,
so
you always hear that thing like if you watch horror movies, you'll go be a murderer, and it's like you don't identify with Michael Myers, you don't identify with fucking Leatherface, you identify with Laurie Strode. You see some part of your self in there, so that Laurie Strode beating Michael Myers, like you're overcoming an obstacle. You're overcoming that threat of a murderer, and it's the same thing with all these kids. Like, I never thought about it, but like Little Monsters is a good parallel to Neverland. It's a magical fucking place where you get to go and there's literally no rules. You get to cause fucking mischief. You get to cause mayhem, smash people's stuff, put it back like there's no consequences. Or you've got like Narnia, which is like this place magical inside a closet where you go and have these great adventures, or like the Labyrinth where again you're going off to some mystical place and having adventures. It's all like Earth adjacent. It's definitely like a trope, especially for kids. The idea that this isn't it. This isn't all that there is. Well, magic's real.
Take also their mind away from the actual real, that they could be in that world, or they could leave the world they're in, or that the world they're in is bigger than that they imagine.
Right. I mean, that's always like the coolest thing about being a kid. You don't have to worry about money, problems. You just wave a magic wand and your problems go away. That's the appeal of Harry Potter. The idea that he's some kid trapped in a fucking under a staircase with his abusive adopted family, and that he gets to go and not only be a fucking wizard, but to be the most famous person ever and be a hero for 12 years in a row at a school where he's learning to do the impossible and vanquish death. That's pretty dope. I mean, that's a lot better than, I guess I'll wipe the dust off my fucking shelf again when my dickhead cousin goes up and down the stairs.
My dickhead cousin.
So, this seems like it's winding down, so I think we're already at the hour and 10-minute mark. So,
I mean, I don't know. We've kind of touched a lot of different bases here.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't really think of another, like, Goosebumps is really like the, I mean,
I think it's a start. It's the start of horror. Like
for
my uncle,
yeah.
Well, I remember we watched it.
I think it's
The Haunted Mask when I was 6 years old, and then like every year on Halloween from then on out, it was like a scarier movie.
Yeah.
But it's the start.
I think that's what brings a
It's an
lot of
introduction.
people who are horror fans into the horror genre.
Well, I mean, horror's prevalent in children's media as far back as you can go. Look at, like, the Grimm's fairy tales. It's all scary shit. Like, there's a witch eating fucking kids.
Even the Grim Adventures of Bill and Mandy, they made into a TV show.
Yeah. You can look at, like, fairy tales from other places, or, like, myths that are all made for you to, like, tell kids.
What about
like,
Krampus in Germany? Could you just imagine that? Some demon things that come if you're not good for Christmas? We just got coal. Like, all right, I'm gonna cook on the barbecue this year.
Instead, the big 12-foot demon's gonna come take
I
you.
don't think it was
fucking magic.
I don't think that was a horror thing. I don't think they ever portrayed. I mean, he's scary.
It's the idea is to scare the kids.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same idea as Cole.
Boogeyman.
It's just a little more.
Yeah, we get Cole, they get some devil to like take them to hell. You know
Yeah,
what?
beat with sticks.
I'll cook on the
birch
grill.
branches.
Yeah, it's the idea of a boogeyman. It's if you don't act right, this is what's going to happen.
He'll fucking eat you.
Yeah, I mean, we have the boogeyman. I mean, it's just that.
Yeah.
In
John
Mexico,
Wick.
they have fucking La Llorona, or they have El Cucuy, which acts as theirs. Huh?
Don't talk about John Wick.
John Wick.
You said we got the boogeyman. I said it's John Wick.
Get Goosebumps.
Or they've got I
Baba
think that's
Yaga.
in Germany. Russia. That's Baba Yaga, which is a witch out in the middle of the fucking woods whose house
Baba
walks
Yaga.
around on chicken legs.
Yep.
She
You
got
remember
hooks.
you know who displayed it correctly?
Hellboy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, she was scary in that
She
movie.
was scary in that fucking movie.
That was a good fucking movie. I don't care what anybody says.
I
didn't like
liked it.
that
I thought
movie.
it was very to the comics.
I didn't like it. He got his ass kicked the whole fucking movie.
Sounds like the comics.
Accidentally killed a bunch of trolls.
That is 100% the comics. Hellboy last second uses his big fist to like, I'm about to die, and he like turns to the guy who comes out and just like knocks his head off. Like, oh thank God.
No, Ron Perlman needs a third one. Get that shit done.
I mean, those movies were
Can they
good
give him
too.
hooves?
Hooves.
I'm tired of the feet. Hellboy doesn't have big, massive feet because then at the end of the day, he's not half demon. It's supposed to be like huge, like hooves, and like they're hairy. Be way terrifying. Just
Hairy
big.
hooves.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Hi,
what
I'm
I
Harry
want.
Hooves.
Yeah,
Nice to meet you.
But like, how's your sound quality gonna be when you got like
You ever seen
a bunch of clickety clacks running around?
Well, and it's awkward. It's like they're very tiny to how big his body is.
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh my God. They were gonna do it for the new one, but then they thought that it would be too scary for children. What? Blew my mind when I heard that.
Anyway, we're coming up on an hour and 15 minutes, so we're going to wrap this up. Jim, do you have a topic for us?
Next week I want to talk about Arkham Asylum.
Arkham Asylum.
Talk about the asylum itself in the Batman world. Talk about the villains and stuff that there, and specifically villains that are there, because I'm a Bat fanatic. So like, you're not gonna find the Penguin, or you're not gonna find Black Master. You're gonna find like Joker, Two-Face,
Sure.
the Riddler, the ones that actually have overlying diseases that they need to be treated. And that's the thing at Arkham. You're not going to be cured. You're going to be treated.
Excellent.
We have to have treatment. So.
All right. So next week, tune in again, all about Batman. Jacob, thank you for joining us again. It's nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you too.
So, thank you for tuning in again for the Midnight Shift podcast. I'm Justin.
I'm Jimmy.
And we'll
I'm
see
Jacob.
you guys later.